Hi everybody, I'm Sirken. It's Monday. We're doing big things together. I hope you guys are having a good Monday night. I'm joined by the one and only super rare spawn Braknar this evening. Braknar, say hi to these people.
Howdy.
So just real quick to get it out the way, in case there's people who it's been a minute since you've been on the stream, and just in case there's people who follow all the rules and don't know who you are, give them a quick introduction of you.
Sure. I am P99. I've been on staff now for 3.5 years. It's been a long
Jesus.
time. I know, right?
Are you as bitter and jaded as I said you would be after 3.5 years? Because I remember when you were like a year in and you're like, it's fine. And I was like, we'll see. Talk to me once you've been here for 3 years.
Yeah, it's definitely changed. Yeah, that's a yes. Sure, I'll bite. Yes, that's a yes. I'm a bitter, jaded husk of a human being.
Just
Uh,
a shell of your former self.
well, that and just, the nature of what I end up doing on P99 means I get lied to most of the time, so...
Oh.
I don't know what I specialize in. It's typically RMT tracking and manning.
I feel you also
So you talking?
have...
If you end up talking. I was gonna say if you end up talking to me, that usually is a sign you've done something bad.
That's accurate. When I so rudely interrupted you is because I was also going to say that you are at least half of what deals with the people using third party programs. I don't know how much Menden does that, or if that's just you or both of you.
It's me. I actually do need to do another sweep. I haven't done one of those in it's been a few months. But yeah. I typically deal with the third party stuff. So folks that use Show EQ, SEQ.
I mean,
Yeah.
so I don't. RMT and third party programs are two things I do not understand why people do on this server. Because, like, years and years ago, I understood it. But by this point, we've banned so many people for it that you have to be living under a rock or be borderline retarded to think you'll actually get away with it.
Well, a lot of it's I kind of do things by design. Like I'll intentionally lay low, for months at a time. I won't post on forums. I won't come around. I'll keep my game time very subtle. Like I don't typically deal with petitions, and people think I'm not around, or they think nobody's watching, and then they start doing it again, and then they get banned.
I mean, we've been saying for a long, long time that logs are forever. It,
Forever.
it doesn't matter if you do it and get away with it. Like, just because Braknar doesn't jump out of a bush the moment that you complete an RMT transaction, that doesn't mean you got away with it. And I think a lot of people, they they'll hear like someone will come up to them and be like, "Oh no, it's fine. I purchased like 20K yesterday and I haven't been banned yet." And they're like, "Well, if you haven't been banned in the last 11 hours, then clearly we can get away with it forever." And so then they just go balls to the walls with it. And then they get caught, and then they accuse us of corruption for banning them for RMT, which is some of my favorite posts on certain places of the internet. is, is when we get accused of corruption for banning them for RMT. I'm sure you've seen some of those threads too.
Oh, they make. Or I love how when people think like start blaming each other for being GMs. From him, and I was immediately banned. He's obviously a GM. Uh,
Obviously.
obviously.
Fucking. Alright,
Also,
so.
the thing with RMT is you gotta consider it's almost like it's like internet STD. Because whoever you've RMT'd with, you're going to get in
Oh,
trouble for everybody they've RMT'd with.
RMT
Uh,
kind of is like herpes. You're right. It lasts forever. Oh, did you just make words?
good. I guess I hadn't flipped the switch. I have a little, that I have a hardware mute on the mic.
Gotcha. All right. So, I mean, you're not. Usually, this is about the time where I'd ask someone to tell me about their guild, but since you're not that, um, I mean, you said you've been on staff for like 3.5 years now. Sadly, there's no like thing I can give you for like 3 year medal of service. Once you get the 2 years, you're done. That's as many medals as you're getting. But
Is it really?
yeah, there's like 3, 6, 1 year, and 2 years, and that's it. So you are. I need to bug Nilbog. Be like, I have super important issues. I need you to make a 5 year medal of service. I could just have him laugh in my face, start talking to me about priorities.
You
But
mentioned Fluent. We can talk a little about him because that was kind of funny.
oh, by all means, go ahead. That's your turf.
Not necessarily about the guy, but kind of some things he did that were just. There's a fella. I'm not entirely sure who he is, but he's been working with people and he tries to go as a go-between. Really high opinion rating on certain websites that are supposed to show how much you can trust an individual that is engaged in RMT. And he takes a percentage off everything, and he tries to claim how it's untrackable and you're safe doing it and whatnot. Well, Fluent used him, or I managed to track him down, and yeah, he got banned, and he didn't even get much sold. I think he ended up having the vast majority of his stuff banned on accounts, causing his guild tons of headache and pain because every account he touched got banned. And since the guild he was in tends to share accounts rather freely, that was a lot of people's accounts.
If you are referring to the person that I think you are, it's extra shitty because he knows that he is relatively safe, but that anyone he is dealing with is at high risk. And it's just because he doesn't have any like he's not actively playing, so there's really nothing you can take away from him. But anyone that he works with usually is a player who has things on this server that can be taken away. And I think his we'll call them ads. You can't see my air quotes, but they're there. His ads are super misleading because they give a false sense of security that just does not exist for anybody who decides to go through him or try to use him for buying or selling wares.
And as folks, I ended up banning some folks that did use him. I told them the best thing they can do is give him bad ratings and bad feedback because otherwise other people won't fall for it.
Well, I hope they're doing that.
Yeah, some folks did. Some folks absolutely did.
I would if somebody got me banned. I would definitely leave them negative feedback. Like F minus, would not buy from again. The old eBay scale. So, I mean, we made jokes about being bitter and jaded and all the things, but I mean, tell me a little bit about the staff through your eyes and how you feel about it, and if you're happy to be a part of it.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I guess if I wasn't happy, I would have gone along my merry way.
All right, that's kind of a loaded question. You're right, but a little bit of the staff through your eyes.
Honestly, I think that we're in the best position I think the server's ever been staff-wise. We have 8, 4, 5, 6 staff, including yourself, not including Rogan and Nilbog. I do. I feel like I think we get to petitions really in a reasonable manner. I don't think folks have to wait days and days and days for some petitions. It depends on petition. Oh, the only two new ones is Calvanus and
And
God dang it.
Dacus.
It was I was trying to say like Ath something, and that's not right. And Dacus.
You had the
And
A.
I did. Um, uh, they're great. As far as I can see, they've been doing what we need them to do, and that's awesome. Otherwise, yeah, being on staff it's kind of fun because what I tend to like to see, how the air quote how the sausage is made. See
Mm-hmm.
everything from the other side, or from behind the scenes, I suppose. Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed my time on staff so far. Like like I said, if I hadn't, I probably would have eased out by now.
Right. I don't know anything besides, like, obviously the staff is definitely bigger than it was 3 years ago. Um, is there anything else that has happened or changed over the last 3 years that you're like thumbs up A plus at?
Staff?
Yeah. Or just the server in general, I guess.
I mean, it's been super nice that we added the second person that has database access. When we got Landerstat, that was kind of great.
Oh yeah, I bet that had to have taken a bunch off your load.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Other than that, yeah, I mean, there hasn't been a whole lot of change, to be honest. Other than adding the two newest folks, but they're not even that new anymore. When did we add them? Have they been on a year already?
I don't know. I can't look them up without messing up a bunch of things at the moment. So I can't look up when those characters were created. But I'd say somewhere between 6 and 12 months.
Quite that long.
If they were good guides, they would be in stream right now, like in stream chat, and they'd hear us talking, and they'd be able to say in the chat how long they've been on the staff. So, minus 50 DKP to each of them. Oh, guess what? I have 9 DKP in Kittens Who Say Meow. That's what I learned last stream, and I was very, very impressed with that. I need to do more.
What they did.
Sorry, what?
Like in zone one time when they did an attendance.
I think so. I think I was AFK and playing a Sky when they were doing Sky, and I earned 9 DKP. It was very exciting. I'm gonna buy all the kitten pixels. Speaking of, I wonder where they are.
As much as a lot of guys like EverQuest rating, I've done it as a player and just I can't. It's just not that interesting. The game I go to whenever I do feel like I need to play have some raid time is I have to admit is Final Fantasy 14 because it's just I'm a sucker for the old Final Fantasy games, and the raid content that they've got in there is.
Oh my god, you cut out. It is what?
Oh, sorry, it's interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I've never played Final Fantasy 14, so I have no idea at all what that game is like.
I mean, it's it can be a grind. It definitely works for me for doing like really fun PvE stuff.
Is there PvP in that game, or is it just PvE?
It really sucks. Oh, is my mic garbage? Is it not coming through very well?
That last sentence, like 2 sentences ago, sounded super muffled, and there's been a couple times where I think that your thing was muted, but I usually just re-ask you. If I'm re-asking you questions or being like, what? It's because I saw you light up but didn't hear anything. And that has happened a couple times.
I'll start using the Discord mute if I need to like clear my throat or something.
Just clear your throat right into their ear holes.
I know.
F them. See? Just like that. Zero fucks. Hi, Envy. Also, to everybody in the chat, I forgot to say this at the beginning. If you do an @Sirken P99 or an @Braknar, it will make it red on our screens and it will get our attention. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of moving jibber jabber that I don't really pay attention to. So, if you're talking to each other, feel free to just talk to each other. But if you're trying to talk at us or you have a question that you would like addressed on the stream here, then do an @Sirken P99 or an @Braknar. It'll definitely get our attention and we'll definitely try to answer it as best we can. I don't think... I mean, I won't ignore your questions. If there's something I can't answer, I'll just tell you I can't answer that. But I won't just ignore it. And if you ask an asshole question, you should probably expect to get an asshole answer. Boom. Going over here now. So, I don't know if you know this, but I actually have a notepad file where I keep a list of things for me to grab questions if I need to. And one of them is asking people to plug their guild and how they can apply to the guild. But that doesn't really apply to you either. So I could just quickly say that even though we're sitting here talking about how we have a bunch of staff members at the moment, if you think you'd be a good fit for the staff for whatever reason, and you'd like to apply, you can do that by going to the forums at www.project1999.com. There's a sub-forum called Guide Applications, and in there is where you would fill out an application to basically start hating life just as much as me and Braknar do.
Only when I'm on P99.
The rest of life is fine. Oh, shit. Refund quest is not a question, but I mean, if you want a refund for your P99 subscription, I can definitely put that in the mail for you. Tupac, that's also not a question. Envy, I can't give an example of an asshole question because I'm not an asshole. I am a saint. I have a literal halo. A literal? Whatever. I think I added an O to literal. But whatever. There's a halo. A shining golden halo above my head. And my brain does not go to assholical places. Of all the races not from Akanon, which one has the most swag? Braknar, what's your favorite race in the game?
So, I have to give two answers because one is a very practical answer. Because as far as like min-maxing certain classes, you can't get any better than an Ixar. I'm not a fan of the model of it. I kind of am slightly partial to the Dark Elf as far as aesthetic.
I can't hate on the Dark Elf. It's probably my second favorite. But, oh man, I can hate on Ixars. I don't even care about this. Do you realize they're basically bribing you to play an Ixar? Like, they're so bad that they're like, alright, look, we're going to give them swimming and regen and some AC, and that will get people to play them. And that's kind of how I see that. I see that as bribery from the developers to play a shitty race in a shitty starting zone.
Back in the day, it was bribery to get people to buy the X back, I'm sure.
I mean, maybe, but you really didn't have to. They added a continent. Like, if you wanted to go to the new continent, you bought the expansion. And if that's not enough to make people... Like, if I had to pick, like, am I going to buy an expansion pack that has a continent or a slightly OP race? I'm going with the continent because I want more content than I want to... Like, I more badly would like to see new stuff and new places than I want to start over on a new character and have to grind again. I'm not a fan of leveling. I'm not one of those people who ever had like an army of alts or anything like that. I had one alt, I had one main, and that was it. That's how I did EQ, both on live and on P99. Just one of each. Do you do alts, Braknar?
God, I'm an altaholic.
Are you?
On my P9, at least for P99, on my P99 play account, I have 5 characters over 45, I think. I'll level up for a while, and then I'm like, I could just sell all this gear, and then twink out another character, and that's typically what I do. And I'm like, I've not played Class Y in a while. Actually, I just have it. It's full of characters. Actually, no, that's wrong. I have 2 accounts, but I don't think I've actually logged into the second one in a very, very long time.
Oh man. I only have ever logged into my player account on like my P99 player account on this computer or IP address. It's just been collecting dust for like 7 years. Oh shit, Tellen's here. Hi Tellen, I love your face. For those of you who don't know Tellen, he's one of the wonderful devs on the P99 dev team. He's brought you such wonderful things as spell particle effects and the sky. And I feel like I heard the back end of something you just said.
Very important.
2 very important things, yes. I love the sky. Tupac, I understand what you're trying to do, but really it's just spamming my fucking chat room. And so if you do it again and you don't put it in the form of an actual question, I'm just going to ban you. So have fun with that.
What was he doing?
He's just saying dumb shit. But he's not actually asking specific questions about the dumb shit. I wish he would bring us Chardock 2.0. So Chardock 2.0 is not Tellen's fault. I will say that. I feel like I can say Chardock 2.0 is done. Because I feel like that's been a thing that has been said before. And I can also say, because anyone with any kind of search, anyone who knows how to search anything on a forum can see when our last patch was. It's been a while since we had a patch on P99.
It's been a little bit.
It's definitely been a minute. The next patch is going to have so many things. And I don't even, like, I have gotten excited and forgotten about some of the things that are in this patch. Like, that's how long it's been. I know there's a lot of things that are going to make a lot of different players in different areas in the game happy. And, oh, god damn it. And, there's also some things in there that are going to make some staff members happy as well.
I can answer this one from Creep Deny.
Go for it.
Asking you, so yeah, he says, I have not played P99 since the TMO IG Witch Hunt. Thinking about getting back with my buddy wants to know if account sharing punishment has become more laxed. Account sharing punishment necessarily. However, I wish I didn't have to give people this sort of news, which is, so it basically, if somebody does something bad on an account, even if it was not you, even if you didn't necessarily give them permission to be on the account at the time, but if they were on the account, that account gets banned or suspended regardless, and so that's the risk you take with sharing accounts. So technically, I don't believe we have account sharing as formally forbidden, but it is strongly discouraged because I've had to tell many people that their level 60 account is now fully perma-banned because they let their buddy on it, and that buddy happened to get on it and happened to use it to buy something with RMT. And then there was an admission of RMT in there, so I knew for sure that it was real legitimate. And yeah, then they lost their snazzy awesome account.
Yeah.
Two boxing it, and they two box it twice. Bunch of times I've had to I've banned people for two boxing after catching the same account twice, and account they were on it because the buddy let them use it. And they used their account to declare it to res themselves or whatever. And so yeah, that's your answer there, it's not then long as you don't two box, but it's a super bad idea. Personally, I would never share my player account information with anybody on P99.
People are shitty. And you'd think someone who's using somebody else's account would not break rules, but it happens all the time. All the time. It's amazing how often someone will either two box with a buddy's account, I was just doing this one thing. I didn't think it would matter. Or they'll RMT with their buddy's account, or they'll train someone with their buddy's account, or they'll do some rule breaking fuckery with their buddy's account. And unfortunately, something I've told people a lot of times, and I'm sure you've heard me say this, is that we have a tendency more so to ban accounts than human beings. And so if an account is guilty, we're going to ban that account. We don't witch hunt people per se. I mean, you have to do a lot to get put on the P99 blacklist. But if we have an account and that account is guilty, the guilty account gets banned. The only other thing I would say is with RMT, one of the reasons you're going to want to be careful who you share your account information with is that when we know someone is involved in RMT, we throw a giant net and we ban every account that person has ever logged into. And the reason we do that is to ensure we're not missing anything. It'd be super nice if dirty RMTers would just use one account to RMT and keep all of their inventory and all of their illicit goods on just one account. I'm sure it would make Braknar's life much easier if they did that. But they don't. They try to hide shit. They try to move shit around. They do all kinds of things because they think they're sneaky and cool. And they're not. They're not sneaky or cool. There's literally nothing you can do on this server with items or platinums that we can't see if we start digging. And so that's the other thing. Like, I don't know. I guess it's still technically account sharing. But if you let, like, say Braknar lets me log into his accounts. You're like, oh yeah, you can use my druid sometimes to, not two box. And I'm like, cool, thanks, buddy. And then I decide I'm going to start RMTing. Ha ha ha. Braknar's account will get banned in that situation when the net gets thrown because there's going to be logins from me on that account. And until we have time to comb through things, those accounts stay banned. I will say that if somebody gets banned specifically for RMT, for anything, but specifically for RMT, if you get banned and you didn't RMT, and you don't think your account was used by the RMTer to RMT, you should definitely petition on the forum. Because we will comb through that and we will look. And if no RMT things happened on your account and it's just banned because the person logged it in, then we're going to unban your account. There's been many people in the past who that has happened to, and they come to the petition form and they make their petition and we let them go because we're not here to just ban everybody. That's not our plan. But we don't want people RMTing on the server. We take it super seriously. And for me personally, it just pisses me off because I don't get paid, and I know the devs don't get paid, and I feel like if anyone should get paid first, it should be the devs because they're the ones actually doing the most work. I mean, the CSR side of things, I've said billions of times, me and the rest of us were essentially glorified babysitters and like clerical office people. Like almost anyone can do what we do. The only thing you really have the only quality you really need is to not be retarded and not be a shitty person. And I mean, so if you have the ability to read, if you can read and you can resist the temptation of being shitty, then you can be on staff pretty much. Like a lot of the stuff guides deal with on the day-to-day is IP exemption stuff, but also they have to go through every single forum petition that comes into the forum, read it, and and deal with it in one way or another. Whether that means actually resolving the petition themselves or doing the legwork on looking up and verifying people's claims and then flagging it for me or Braknar. Like, they do that. They are the guides like Endakis and Calvanus and Mendon and all those people. Like, they are really the unsung heroes because the newer people on staff, and I don't mean like newer as in anyone who's been on staff less than 3 months. I just mean, I guess kind of on a seniority level, like people who aren't me and people who aren't Braknar, basically. Like, they're doing a lot of the things that we don't want to do. And so, like, in my opinion, they don't get enough praise because I'm not going to sit down and do 2 hours worth of IP exemptions. If I was the only person on staff, nobody would ever get another IP exemption again. Just because I've got so many better things to spend my time on.
Neck to do.
What's that?
And the neck to do.
Yes.
And time consuming.
I just don't like that. I don't like them. Like, as it stands now, I have this system where I open up like five different tabs. Like, I search for all my forum petitions, and then I open up a player search tab, and then a forum search tab, and then a CSR threads, like where we keep the logs of banning people and suspending people tab. And then I will open each petition in a new tab as I work through them. And that way, everything I need is pretty much there. If something requires an encounter log lookup, there's usually a link in the thread already from a guide, but if not, that's the only other tab I'd have to open up. And it's nice. It helps me kind of just streamline the process to make it as fast as possible. And lately, I've actually been like, if someone's online, if I'm doing like I was doing item restores on Friday, I believe. I was working petitions, and there were people who were online, and that is super frustrating for me because it just slows me down so much when I have to interact with human beings, because I have to send them a tell and ask them if they're there and wait for them to respond, and then ask them if they have room for a thing, and then I gotta wait for them to make room, and if they're fighting, I gotta wait for a fight to end. And it's slow. Like, I'm real quick when I don't have to deal with other people. And so what I've been doing is actually just suspending people and doing the petition real quick and then unsuspending them. And that way, hopefully by the time they get booted and try to re-log into the game, like, I'm already out and unsuspended them, and they're just like, what happened? And they don't make a damn forum petition about it. But if that happens, like, if someone makes a thread being like, my account is suspended, oh, never mind, no, it's not, that's probably my fault. What is this? We got someone playing Name Police. Creep Deny says, okay, second question about two boxing. I work at a hookah lounge, and there is a regular that plays on our Wi-Fi. He's the one that's trying to get me back into it. How do I play on the same Wi-Fi without getting banned for two boxing? Because my account has a mana stone, even though have not played in a while. Getting that mana stone removed would hurt my soul. Well, I mean, first of all we test people. First of all, there should be a IP block that prevents two people logging in from the same IP address. But if one of your accounts does have an IP exemption and you are able to log in from the same thing, just don't actually be two boxing is really the best advice I can give you. I mean, we don't just blindly, unless I'm not going to say that because I don't want to give people ideas of what we look at, but like a lot of times, like in one way or another, we test people. I mean, sometimes we do it by making them do a thing at the same time. Sometimes we do it in different ways. The other day, there's this guy who's been on my watch list for a while. Both of his tunes were logged in. I went over to High Key where they were. One was killing things, and one was parked directly underneath his ogre, sitting down on the floor beneath him, and he wasn't doing shit. And so I was like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna grab this NPC and we're gonna attack that cleric or high elf. I don't remember. I think it was a cleric. And so that's what I did. And then I waited and watched the high elf get beat on and beat on. And then as soon as I saw the high elf get up, I shot over to the ogre. And sure enough, once the high elf started moving, the ogre was doing absolutely nothing. And so then I shoot back to the high elf, and I keep going back and forth between the two of them. And then eventually, when the high elf is done and sits back down, the ogre starts moving again. That is super sketchy and super suspicious, and not a great way to prove to me that you're not controlling both of those characters. Watching two characters doing things at the exact same time, that's a really good way to prove you're not two boxing. But when you can only do one thing at a time, that doesn't bode super well for innocence on two boxing. So yeah, that's my answer, Creep and Death. Just don't two box. Can't you just kick them and log them? Yeah, I can, Tupac, but here's the problem. They log back in. And so I need them to not log back in while I'm in the middle of things, because if I'm on their tune and they log in, it's going to kick me off their tune, and then I get booted to the login screen, and then I have to relog into the game, and that slows me down even more so than having to talk to people. So I don't like that at all. Do you have any pet peeves about
the other thing about two boxing to keep in mind is by the time if you're two boxing, by the time you see us, probably means we've been sitting there watching you for minutes. You know, it does become pretty quickly clear if we're looking at two people or one.
Yeah, that's another thing I don't think a lot of players realize, is that we don't just come to a zone and appear and be like, boom, we're here, what's going on? Like, a lot of us, hopefully all of us, we're watching the situation for a while before we actually appear. And most times, even before we send anyone a tell or contact anyone to hear their side of the story, we want to kind of have an idea of what's going on our own. And so we hang out in the zone at the spot where the incident is happening, or where the players that are complaining or petitioning or being shitty are at. And we watch and read and listen and all the things. Like a lot of players, based on the things they say to me, I assume they're assuming we are appearing as soon as they see us. That's when we entered the zone for the first time.
We get a lot of people, a lot of players will report two boxers, and players are surprising. So long as the report isn't like someone's trying to get back at somebody, right? If it's a legitimate like, oh hey, this guy looks like he's two boxing. In my experience, about 75% of the time, they're correct.
A lot of times they are. Um, I'm pretty sure there was someone who I don't know if he two boxed to train the hell out of people in lower Guck, or if he actually like switched tunes to train them twice. But the only reason I know it's the same person is from prior detective skills that I had to deploy on an incident. And so I know that the one dude is an alt of the same dude. It's just two separate accounts. And so when the petitions came in, I shot over, and one of our fabulous guides were already there. And so I gave him a little bit of the information that I already had, just to let him know, like, okay, just so you know, this guy and this guy, that's the same guy. This third dude, I don't know who the hell that is at all. Um, and so he was just watching, and I actually don't know how that played out. But hopefully he got suspended for training if he was doing something wrong. Also, if people train you, also, before we get to that, all of you should play with your logs turned on. I'm not going to tell you that you all have to run fraps because I get it, but shadow play is a great, great thing that doesn't eat up a lot of hard drive space. And if some shit pops off, all you have to do is push a button, and boom, you have the last 30 seconds to 10 minutes automatically recorded based on your settings. And that way you're not running fraps the entire time you're playing. You're not going to have 7-hour long videos eating up your hard drive. Just if something happens, boom, push a button, and you got the last however many minutes your settings are set for just in a video ready to go. But short of that, logs help, screenshots help, video helps. Get as much evidence as you can. We do not have a magical training table in the database where Braknar can be like, select all from trainer X in Guck, and then it's just going to spit out magic results being like, yes, this person trained that person at 6:17 p.m. Like, that's not how that works. Gotta get ready for said work. Good night. Good night, Creep Deny. Thank you for stopping by and joining us. Don't lie, you've banned folks without even trying to gather info before. I don't think I ever have, unless it was just to lock shit down and look into it after the fact. But that's usually done very quickly. Like, I'm sure that has happened, where it's like, I think there's fuckery and time is of the essence. And so we'll ban first, ask questions later. I know we've definitely banned accounts to bring people in for questioning on suspicious things. And I know I've suspended accounts so that, like, one time there's a group of people kiting the living hell out of Lotazel in Iceclad. And so I waited for them to kill it. And then I went ahead and suspended someone who wasn't even involved in the kill. A guild officer comes over to loot the corpse. And so I suspended him so that I could get the items and nuke them off of him before they got passed around to anyone, because it just makes my life easier to log into one account and nuke items instead of having to look up where the items went and then log into each different character to nuke one item here and one item there. But in those situations, you don't stay suspended or banned very long. And that's my story on that.
One other thing about two boxing that drives me absolutely nuts is when I confront somebody and like, you realize you understand two boxing is against our rules, right? And the response is, oh, I was just making a new character. Or they may be making a new character on his second account. And my response to that is, well, can you show me the rules where it says you can two box if you're making a new character? People tend to think that our two box rule is very strictly, it's only against the rules if the two accounts interact or what have you, and that's not at all how it's written. I think it's written something to the effect of pretty plainly, only one human per account at any time for any reason. And yeah, like people get two box hit for doing such simple things as logging in a wife's account prior to, like, this one guy had said he logged in this wife's account, stuck her character to him, so he was going to move him to another zone so that they were ready when she gets home. Probably was true. He still ate a 30-day ban or suspend on both accounts because, like I said, to explain to him, when you're given the IP exemption, there is a it's granted it's a pasted wall of text that we always paste to everybody, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't read it. And in that wall of text, it pretty plainly lays it out again and says, this is being given to you. It is monitored. If you have more than if you have more than one human per account in game at a time, that's against the rules, and you'll get hit for it.
On top of getting hit for two boxing, which is 30 days on the first offense and a permaban on the second offense, you also lose your IP exemption on the first offense. So if that husband and wife couple was actually a husband and wife couple and they got pinged for 30 days because of him, he also got their IP exemption taken away, which I'm sure didn't go over very well in that house.
Oh, I have a bunch of guys that like beg to have the suspend this account for 60 days and don't suspend that one. That's my buddies, that's my roommates, that's my brothers, that's my cousins. And the answer is the same every time. That's not what we do.
I was just logging on to res somebody.
Yeah, or like res myself, and I'm like, well, had you done it the right way, we wouldn't be talking, but you didn't. Here we are.
I mean, it's EverQuest. People have a million reasons as to how what they were doing was this tiny little harmless thing and it didn't affect anyone and blah, 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 blah. We're power tripping Nazis. But the thing is, like, we have the rule for a reason. And a large chunk of that reason is that we believe it's the community and the socializing and the need for other people that kind of make EQ, well, at least one of the reasons that EQ is a great game. And so when you start cutting corners like, oh, I'm just doing this to trade items, or I'm just doing this to res something, or I'm just doing this to port something, you start chipping away at the need for other people. And if you don't want to play with other people or interact with other people, you are playing the wrong game. Like, you need to go load up Skyrim and play that, because you don't ever have to deal with anyone else, and they have Ixars and they have Vasirs, and it'll serve all of your needs, every one of them. Who is with Sirken? Whitey Bulgers asks. Oh, Tupac already answered him. Braknar's with me. He is one of our wonderful, wonderful staff members. He bans people in large quantities. He does massacre bans. I do like single targeted, very specific. I can't find the word I'm looking for. God damn it, tactical. I do like individual tactical bans, and Braknar just throws a grenade in a room and blows up the building.
So I see another question. Since we're still talking about two boxing, Kansu?
Akitseru.
Senu, man.
I had an Italian beef sandwich with that dude. It's a true story.
What was the sandwich good?
It was so good, yeah.
Excellent. So he asks about, in a very creative way, what do we do if it's a real husband and wife and one of the parties just happens to go AFK? Well, the general response I give is, if you need to go AFK and you have an IP exemption, my recommendation is /Q. If you got to if you have to get up and walk away, /Q. If you don't, then we go back to how I mentioned before, how by the time you see us, we've been watching you for a while. Is legitimately two people, and we just see one absolutely not moving, just ain't doing anything. Well, we're probably going to keep watching until they move, and when they do start moving, we'll see what they do. someone can do in that situation is if say it's a husband and wife, say the wife goes AFK, doesn't slash Q, say a mob spawns on them, and then the husband tries to control both. That's the worst thing.
Well, that's also two boxing.
It is
Because
absolutely two
that is
boxing at
literally
that point.
one person controlling and playing two different clients, two characters, two
Yeah,
accounts.
it's much better to let the person die.
Or
Uh,
try to get aggro and fight it while they're AFK, like you would with somebody who is AFK and not playing next to you. Like if me and Braknar are playing EverQuest and I'm like AFK, need to make a breakfast burrito, and some mob aggroes me, he is not going to be able to teleport to my house and do things with my character. He's going to have to try to get aggro off me and save my life in that fashion. And that is really what you should do. Um, I mean, we're also not stupid. Like Braknar said, we watch for a while, not 30 seconds, not a minute. We watch for a while before we appear or do anything. And so if we're there for 5, 10, 15 minutes and we see people moving and doing things at the same time, we're going to leave. You know, we're not going to be like, okay, well, there's clearly two people, but I'm just going to wait for one of them to go take cookies out of the oven and then I'm going to get them. Like, that's not what we're trying to do. If we see any sign that it is two people playing, we're done there. And we move on to the next petition. But when you park one person at the entrance to Velk's lab and the other person is up at the top just killing shit and has no intention and making no effort to A, pull anything to that other person, or B, clear some kind of way for the second person to get up there, it's just one dude parked milking XP on a tune. Don't try to tell me that it's your friend who just went AFK to pee, because I've been there for 15 minutes already. And your friend, unless he has some severe bladder problem, has not been pissing for the last 15 minutes. That's just not a thing. Oh, Jesus. Sirken, on the 10th, you reimburse an item for me, but I can't find it. Do you put stuff in people's banks or their inventory? If I would have put it in your bank, I would have made a note in your petition. I have done that in the past. If sometimes I mess up, if I screwed up and your item is not there, make a new petition saying so, and I'll take a look at it. But I'll tell you right now that every time I summon an item, every time I use a command at all in the game, it's logged and it goes into a very special channel in Discord so that me, Landris, Rogue, and Nobog can see it. And so I will look up your character and I will look up and see what commands I've ran on that name to see if I have done it or not. And if you try to pull a fast one and get two of the item, I will murder your soul. But I've definitely made mistakes in the past where I typo the item number and then you don't get the item and I mark it as resolved and you're like, but it's not resolved, help. And so then I will take a second look and be like, oh, I pulled a dumb, and then I'll fix it for you. I tend to do petitions in large batches. And so sometimes when I'm doing 40, 50, 60 petitions in a night, I'm going to make a mistake or two. And so that is extremely possible. So if you're sure that item is not there, you should definitely make a new petition thread asking about it. Good question, Ak. Alright, let's see. Falling Down says, any idea when the next patch is coming? Oh, Jesus, Falling Down. I wish I had an answer for that. I really do. I think you weren't here earlier when we talked about it, but it's been a long time. The last patch we had was July 14th of 2017. So, I mean, we are so incredibly overdue for a patch. I play with a group, Fellowship of the Hork. We all made gnomes. We play together. Has people reported us yet? I don't know. Nobody's petitioned the Fellowship of the Hork, but odds are if they make a petition, it's not going to be them petitioning your guild name. It's going to be them petitioning player names. So without knowing the player names, I don't know. I have to put up a blocker real quick. So give me just 1 minute while I do one of these, and then I gotta make this little, and boom, and drag it like this. Okay, and then we'll bring this back, and we'll switch back to this. Boom. Like nothing ever happened. I was doing secret things. Alright, click on this. I don't know. I don't even care. I will totally confirm that I can't confirm shit. I don't know exactly what's in the patch, but I would be super shocked if Chardock is not in the next patch. I will say that. And like I said before, I know there are a lot of things in the patch. I don't know what all of those things are, and I don't want to make Nilbog upset by talking about it. And I definitely don't want to be wrong and say certain things are going to be things, and then they end up not being things. Because then I will look dumb, and people will be like, Sirken has no idea what he's talking about. Just words come out of his mouth, and they don't mean shit. So we definitely don't need that to be a thing that happens. Looks like that is over. Oh shit, we'll go here. Boom, boom. Oh my god, more red words. Can you expand upon the rules of static spawns in outdoor zones in terms of camps? I think there's a lot of ambiguity in exactly what the rules are.
This is the person I talked to the other day that was trying to claim that the hill giants and Wraith Mountains were a camp.
I mean, if you're sitting on like the actual spawn spot of one giant, you can camp that one giant, but you can't just claim them.
That's what they were doing. Oh, so, yeah, the conversation went along the lines of what you described. As I said, hey, yeah, you could do one single spawn point, and I think literally the next response was, yeah, I was camping two of them.
Like, no, you didn't hear me.
Yeah, I think I said, I was like, please read what I just said. I said you can do it for one.
Right. I know people used to do that with Sea Furies back in the day when it would start to get super crowded. People would sit on like one spawn spot and kill that one Sea Fury every however many minutes it was. And but if you're not sitting there when it pops, if you see another one and you're like, "Ooh, piece of candy," and you run over to that other Sea Fury and then the one you were sitting on pops, that's not your camp anymore.
So I guess I guess more elaborating on the question though. So outdoor mob zones, kind of what Sirken mentioned, are you can camp a single spawn point and a single spawn point only. That means unless you have 5 nerds that are 100% sure they're sitting on all 5 places you need to be for Quillmain, you aren't camping Quillmain.
Oh, that's a good example, actually.
Yes, and
That
there was a
comes up a lot.
petition actually in the queue just now about it. So I'm wondering if that guy is this guy either. Cannot camp Quillmain, like I said, unless you. I think it is 5. Is it 5
3.
spawn points? 3.
There's 3. There's well, you need 4 people. You need one for the killing the trigger spawn, and then he has 3 different places he can pop in SK, and so you need someone parked at all 3 of those spots.
People often assume that just because they're killing the triggers, that gives them right to kill him, and it does not.
I mean, shit, that's how I got my Quillmain Quoke as a player back in the day, is I was hunting in South Corona, and there was just one nerd doing Quillmain by himself, and I saw Quillmain just trotting on by, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna kill him now. And and he had the cloak, and I killed him, and I took it.
I definitely I've counted at least one just flat out straight up noob. Like I looked into this guy's accounts and everything. He was brand new to P. Well, not that brand new because he was in his 30s, level like 30 something. But yeah, he just literally he was happened to be running through South Carolina, and some dude was killing the placeholders and or the trigger spawns, and because he'd petitioned this guy that he stole his kill and stuff, and I'm like, oh, you got yourself a lev cloak, enjoy.
Right? And people get super. What is this? Oh my god, this is a thing that's gonna. Are you familiar with the idle camp in High Pass?
I didn't know it was a camp. I've done. Is this the is this that one quest that's the Testament of Veneer quest you're talking about, or
No,
it's a
I'm
different?
talking. Alright, so you know when you zone into High Pass from Kithakor, there's those orcs right there?
Mm-hmm.
One of the orcs drops an idol with right click divine aura effects, essentially.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And so the top guilds, they need DA idols for how they do the camp, or how they do pulls, I mean. And so for a long time, it has not been a problem. Guild 1 will go there, camp a few idols and leave, and then Guild 2 will go there later, camp a few idols and leave, rinse and repeat. I don't know what has happened over the last couple weeks, but I feel like some weird kind of war has broken out where people are trying to just hold on to it as long as possible. And if the top guilds want to screw each other, I tend to care a little bit less. Is like, for example, if you're only camping that one mob that drops those idols, and you're letting a group or a player who needs the XP actually do the rest of the orcs and level there, I'm a lot less likely to get involved. But when you are just monopolizing a camp to be a, and the end result is that you're being a dick, there's a real good chance that at some point staff is going to step in and regulate that camp. And it's not something we like to do. Oh my god, I have a map for this zone? That is amazing. It's not
Have you not
something.
noticed that?
No. It's not. Do I have a map for every zone?
For GM clients. It was slightly. It was like added not that long ago. But yeah. They made it so if you're on the GM client, you can actually look at the map.
Amazing. That just blew my mind. I learned something new. Yeah, there are camps we've regulated in the past, and we don't like having to do it, but we have no problem doing it if you force our hands. Please don't force our hands. I don't want to have to regulate the goddamn idle camp. What else? Oh shit! Another good example, going back to what we were talking about with the static outdoor spawns, is the South Row AC. Because if you don't have some, like, it's fine if you're sitting on that little hill killing things, but if you don't have someone ready to tag the AC should he pop, I mean, he's essentially an FTE mob. Whoever tags him first, that's their mob. And if you're a solo player and you're doing things solo, I strongly suggest you go the Ocean of Tears route. Or there's a very real chance that you won't get the AC in South Row. Is that outdoor mob rule listed anywhere on the forums? I have no idea. RD Prickett.
I kind of answered him in text there. It's not. I've looked. Tell people
Look
try
at
to
you
settle camp
making
disputes.
words.
Yeah, right. It's like telling folks, try to settle the self, and because if you do end up calling a staff member, almost assuredly you're not going to be happy with the result because we're probably going to do something very much in the middle, which means both parties are probably going to come away a little unhappy.
That's how I know I'm doing a good job, is when both parties are equally upset. Like when I have to mediate some kind of raid dispute, If I can have both guilds involved in the dispute walking away equally unhappy with me and my decision, I feel like I've done well. I feel like I missed some questions. Pazoi has a very good question. He wants to know, what does Nilbog do all day when he's off being a jerk by not catering to our every whim? And I can only answer that by telling you he's probably off driving in his Lamborghini that he paid for with bloomin' onions and banging supermodels left, right, and center. Probably twins. He's probably banging twins that are also supermodels and then just filling his bathtub up with $100 bills and rolling around in it. Actually, knowing Nilbog, he would convert his $100 bills into actual platinum coins and fill his bathtub with that and swim around in it like Scrooge McDuck, but with platinum instead of gold. That's what I imagine Nilbog does in his free time. No, I'm joking, obviously. I think Nilbog's a great guy. I think Nilbog's probably the best, like, human being on the staff. And I think it's because he hasn't been jaded by players. I think because he really just deals with dragons and NPCs, and dragons and NPCs can't really lie. They can cause headaches probably, but they can't argue and lie to you. And so I think he's probably like, oh, he's like early Game of Thrones Daenerys. That's the best way I can describe him, where he's still all into those dragons. I was talking shit about Daenerys the other day, and or not the other day, a while ago, a few weeks ago, and he pulled a picture I made of a Game of Thrones Last Supper kind of thing, and I had tagged him as Danny in that picture, and he's like, wait, should I be offended by this? And I was like, no, that's still good Daenerys. That's when the dragons are little, before she became all cunty and Lindsay Lohanish. What else do we have? If you fold a pizza and put a hot dog inside, would that be a hot dog or would it be a pizza with a hot dog in it? That would be a pizza hot dog taco. That's what that would be, easy. Baben wants to know how many items actually poof on a regular. If you tend to do a lot of item stuff, is it messed up hand-ins mainly, or what? Do that many people actually delete stuff? It's a combination, Baven. You'd be surprised how many people accidentally delete the wrong item. A lot of it, probably most of it, is screwed up turn-ins. And then you also have people who dropped items and for whatever reason couldn't get back in the game and their items rotted. No one was ever able to pick them up. I don't know. Sometimes items just poof, and we will search every goddamn thing we have, and there's no record or log or anything of that item leaving the character or being on a corpse or being in the bank, or just it just got raptured out of existence by Norath Jesus, and there's nothing we can do. Like, we can't explain it. It's just raptured into the void. That's the question Braknar did. How many more patches do you see actually coming out? I am not qualified to answer that question because I'm not a dev and I don't do patches. So I don't know. And Braknar, I don't know if you know this, but you can add things to the rules page on the forums.
Looking at that, although I think we might have left that off intentionally. I'm thinking about it more. We're going to have nerds rule lawyering each other. Well, you're not on that one spot. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of not. We don't get enough of those sorts of petitions. I don't think the warrant probably get as people try to self-regulate. Because if there's one thing EverQuest players do really poorly, is self-regulate.
No, I refuse to believe that.
At least like stuff like I don't know. I don't. I'll leave it up to someone like Sirken here to decide if he wants to put that rule on the forums. There, it's just yeah. I try to think of other somewhat legitimate outdoor camps that tend to be kind of fine, and if we added this rule, that might turn them a little not fine. I'm thinking of like the Bloodgills and Lakeaville Omen.
Right.
Just tend to pretty well self-regulate that, and it does tend to be more than one spawn point. Um,
No, you're not wrong. Sometimes creating rules causes more problems than it solves, and it's just better to be like, this is a thing, this is how we treat it. The end. I'm with you on that. I don't think we should actually add anything, but I wouldn't be against it if someone wanted to.
yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'll think about it. We'll bounce it
I
around.
won't be the one who adds it. Because I'm concerned that would fall into that category. Like you just mentioned, people would find like one or two legit outdoor camps and be like, nope, Braknar and or Sirken made a post in the rule thread and now I get to take this from you. Get fucked. And that is not something I want to see happen. I don't like when people try to take a rule that is created for good and turn it into a weapon to use against other people. That bothers me.
Here, no players of the server ever do that.
You're right. You're right. I was out of line. I shouldn't have said that.
They're all saints.
You're right. I don't even know. I had a momentary lapse of reason, and I was speaking out of school, and I'm sorry. I apologize. I will give myself 10 lashings later tonight to punish myself for those crass remarks. Octowisp, I do look in the resolve section like the first 24 hours after I put things there, but honestly, at this point, you'd be better off just making a new quote help ticket in the petition form. If you know there's a problem with a tire on your car that occurs every 100 kilometers, do you change the tire or keep patching it every 100 kilometers? The rule will prevent the issue from raising its head in the first place. You're not thinking big enough, Ayrton. You're thinking about it for the one specific camp. Yes, for the one specific camp, like Wrath Mountain Giants, it would solve that problem. But it's going to cause other problems in other places.
I'll also say in my entire time on staff, that was the first time that I've ever had somebody think they could actually camp the Wrath Mountain Giants.
I've seen it before. It's not common. It is definitely not a common issue, but it is something that I have seen a couple times in my nearly 7 goddamn years on staff. Like I've also seen complaints with Quillmain. That's why I used that as an example earlier, because people are like, "Well, I was here by myself and I was killing the placeholders, and then Quillmain spawned and I went running as fast as my little legs would take me all the way across South Carolina. And when I got to Quillmain, there was this other person there, and he was killing my Pegasus bird horse. And I don't even know if he got the cloak or not, but I'm super mad about it because I was doing things and he took them. Help!" And it's like, no. Like, I'm sorry. You're not camping him. You're camping the placeholder, sure. But he doesn't spawn there, and he can spawn in multiple places in the zone. And if it was up to me, he would have like 12 spawn spots. He would have so many spawn spots. He would have a chance to randomly spawn at every place in the zone where an NPC has a chance to spawn. Because you nerds are not supposed to know all the places he spawns. It's one of the downsides of this game being 20 years old. Alpha, I don't disagree with you. I think there are some guilds who start their sky raids, who have AM slots, start their sky raids a lot later than they should, and definitely run their raids a lot later than they should. I know this happened actually super recently, where a guild didn't go up until like early in an AM morning slotted guild didn't go up until like early afternoon and was there till early evening, and screwed over a PM slotted guild. And so I might do something about that. So far, it's only happened a small handful of times, and the guilds involved have been able to work it out themselves. One time I was asked to kind of mediate a conversation to help them get to a solution without anyone getting in trouble, and so I did that and kind of listened to both sides talking about, like, well, we have to start at this time because of this reason, and the other people being like, we start at this time because of this reason. And I was like, all right, well, here is my meet in the middle solution. And they kind of accepted that, and that's been a thing ever since. But I do agree with you that there should be a time limit, because people are really pushing the line on what's okay for those slots. Dun, 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 dun. Nerf Hill Giants, you say? Yes. Throw it in the next patch. We'll have it in a year. People need to learn to play nice with the high plat camps. Learn from Sea Furies. I've already said too much. Should levitate be avoided in East Freeport? I got stuck on a roof. Oh man, yeah, there's this little invisible box. Do you know about this? There's a little invisible box on like one of the roofs of East Freeport. People. Oh, I got stuck in there once as a player. It was terrible. I had to gate out. If I wasn't a gating class, I don't know what I would have done. But, oh, yeah, I don't know why that box exists, or if it's classic, but it is real. The invisible prison on the roofs of East Freeport is real. That morning guild should lose their next turn. You know, I would say maybe that, but a lot of guilds, they don't give a fuck if they lose their next turn. They're just like, let's go up, let's get what we need to get, and we don't care if we can do it next week or not. And so in that situation, I feel a minimum, possibly more, but a minimum 20-day raid suspension is probably an appropriate course of action. I know that players laughed in my face about 7 and 10-day suspensions. And I know that for a lot of people, they look at a 20-day suspension and they're like, it'll be a nice break. But once they get bigger than that, once they get to 30, 40, and 50, people stop thinking it's funny and start acting right. And so I think the raid suspensions are probably the best course of action if we're going to start dropping bombs on people. Do we really need a set Sky schedule anymore? Why not just have weekly sign-up sheets? A lot of guilds are pretty SOL because most of the slots are filled by guilds that don't even bother using them. Pazoi, I do keep tabs on the guilds who have the slots, and while they may not use them every single week, they do use them. And the fact that they don't use them every week means other guilds can reach out to those people and be like, hey, are you guys not doing Sky tonight? Oh, you're not? That's awesome. Would you care if we did? And 99 out of 100 times, they say, sure, that's no problem. But if you don't talk to them and you just go up and take their night, then you're just being an asshole and you're being super disrespectful to them. Show other guilds a tiny bit of respect and it will go a long way. But if I do see a guild has a slot and they're not using it over and over and over again, I will take it away. On top of that, if I remember correctly, there's at least one open slot right now. And since your guild can kill goddamn Avatar of War at 5 o'clock in the morning, I have a hard time believing your guild's not able to kill Sky on an AM slot. Du- 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 du. What is this? RD Prickett wants to know, maybe you should have started with 30 plus instead of 7 to 20. Maybe they would learn. Here's the thing. I don't like suspending people. Like, I don't like doing it. I was hoping back in the day that if a guild got 7 days, it would mean something. And then I made it 10 days because they would miss for sure one cycle, possibly 2 cycles. And people literally laughed in my face about it. And so went to 20 days. And I had people tell me like, it wasn't even that bad. It was a nice break. And it was like, that's not how you're supposed to feel about getting put in timeout. And so then we added the plus 10 days for each additional infraction for habitual rule breakers. And then people stopped laughing and were like, "Oh shit, wait, what? How many now?" And that's the response that they should have had to a 10-day suspension or any kind of guild suspension. It shouldn't be to laugh in the staff's face about how it ain't even that bad. Like when you get punished as a guild, that should be a big deal. And that should be taken super seriously, and it should cause the guild, and that especially the guild's leadership, to look inward and be like, "Oh shit, what are we doing wrong? How can we prevent this? Should we boot certain people out of our guild for habitually getting us in trouble?" kind of thing. If you have shitty people in your guild, boot them the fuck out. Like I don't understand what the problem is. There's a lot of guild leaders on the server who do not have any kind of backbone when it comes to disciplining their own members. Stupid nobody members that don't mean anything, sure, no problem. But if it's someone who might be able to cause a little bit of waves in the pool, people freak out about it, and they're like, "Oh no, we can't boot him. If we boot him, all these things will happen. He might go somewhere else." He shouldn't. It shouldn't happen that way. Reputation on EverQuest should matter. It used to matter. I don't know when it stopped mattering. But make examples out of people. If you let somebody get away with fuckery, all it does is show the rest of the guild that they're allowed to do fuckery and nothing will happen to them. So it actually encourages more fuckery. Punish people. Severely punish people. Make a horrible, bleeding, disgusting example out of them. And I promise you, other people won't do it. They'll be like, "Oh no, I don't want that to happen to me. If they did it to this guy, they'll do it to anyone, and I'm part of anyone, so I don't want that." Like that's how you do things. Clue stop because PS late start on Sunday. I refuse to take Clue's night because if I kill the B boss at 2 a.m., it screws the Monday a.m. slot. PS totally destroys the weekend slot. I mean, talk to them. I don't know why this is such a hard concept for people. If there's a problem or something's not working out, reach out and talk to them. Use your words and communicate with them and see if you can't work something out. I don't ever want to go to the sky ever again. I was asking for the people. Alright, fair enough, Pazoy. If they're laughing in your face about it, step on their fucking jugulars and make them go play WoW. I feel like that's kind of... Like, I don't want people to go play WoW. I just want people to be better. That's all I want. Can I train bees on PS while they try to kill the bee boss? Trigger at 2 p.m. while they have the Sunday sky slot. Oh my god, you're actually gonna make me look this up. I hate you. I hate you so much. Alright, so if you are... Where is this? Where did this person's thing go? Alpha Loots? No, you can't do shit because you're, I believe, in a guild that's not Clue, and Clue does the Sunday PM slot. And so if Clue has a problem with something Paradigm is doing, then those two guild leaders need to get together and talk and work it out. And if they can't get together and talk and work it out, then it's going to come to me and I will get with them and work it out for them. I want to give you my Twitch Prime sub, man. That's very nice of you, but you shouldn't. You should give it to somebody else who streams more regularly and is much more serious about streaming. I put very little effort into streaming. I do it as a way to kind of shoot the shit with the community and kind of answer some questions and kind of share the staff point of view with the players and just have a little bit of fun with you guys. At best, I stream once, if you're really lucky, twice a week. But there's a bajillion other people who are more deserving of that. And also, I feel super uncomfortable about taking any kind of subs or donations or anything on Twitch. I've never been told I can't do it, but it would just feel really shitty because I already know that it would just lead to all kinds of accusations of favoritism and bias and RMT. And I get that like every week or at least once a month, somebody goes to somebody else on staff with accusations of how Sirken is corrupt or bias or favoritism or RMT or this, that, or the other. And it drives me crazy. It drives me out of my mind. I have no patience for that shit. And so the last thing I'm going to do is invite more of it by allowing people to send me money on Twitch. If I wasn't a staff member, I'd probably be super okay with it. But as long as I am a staff member, it just feels really wrong. And so I'm not going to go that route. Alpha, aren't you in Aftermath? They should have told you to fuck off. You're not in Clue. Nothing they do on Sunday morning affects you. Arton, I was yelling about guilds one day. I was forgetting who I was talking to, and I pronounced their name wrong, and that's how I said it, and it just stuck with me. And so, unless I'm super aware of the words coming out of my mouth, then I'll say paradigm, but otherwise I don't, because it's just funny to me. Clues giving AM the slot, but it's a bad slot because of PS. Correction, we are discussing it. Well, someone from Clue needs to shoot me a PM before that can be an official thing, because otherwise, as far as I'm concerned, until I hear from someone in Clue, that's their slot. And again, if that happens, you guys need to get together with the leaders of PS and you need to work something out. And if you can't work it out, then I will bring your guild leaders into a meeting with me in my office, and then I will work it out for them. And I guarantee I will make both parties super equally unhappy. Oh no, no Alpha. Thank you. I kind of like this. I like the questions. Do you guys have more questions? At Sirken P99. We can do a nice little Q&A that doesn't have to be a speed lightning round, and I actually have time to give more than like a 1 to 3 word answer. So usually I do that at the end of stream, where, ooh, you know what? We're actually getting dangerously close to that. But is your office the Befallen Cat room? No. I actually need an office. I don't have one. Like every staff member, not every, but a bunch of staff members in the past had places. Like I know one person used to hang out at the very top of Kern's tower, like in Field of Bone would levitate or fly mode up to the top of the tower, and he would summon people up there. But I don't really have like my own place. I should get one. I'll find a place. The Befallen Cat room's no good because players can walk out of there. When you gonna make me a guide so I can host some events? Never. Never. I do agree that we need more events, but you guys don't understand how long it takes to make a good one. Like, we could do a shitty little thing, but that's not fun. Like, we want good events. And the last big one we did took so much time, and requires so many different people to do things so that we can test it. And we didn't get to test it as much as we'd like to, and things definitely went wrong. And it's just super disheartening when that happens. What would your ideal office look like? Envy, I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't have a. I never really thought about it. I just kind of talk about my office in the P99 building, but I've never actually put more than like 3 seconds of thought into it. Uh, isn't there a GM island in Sky? There is. There absolutely is. It's the Ecom Motap or whatever island where he spawns. Um, Players can't get to it. You need fly mode to get to it, but it's definitely a real thing that exists. What are your thoughts on Pantheon? Are you going to play? I want Pantheon to come out and be a very good game, but I've had my heart broken so many times over the last couple decades with MMOs and wanting them to be something that they end up not being. And I don't know if it's just because people set the bar too high or what the deal is, but I don't buy into the hype for MMOs anymore. When a game comes out, I'll play it, um, and I'll just kind of judge it from there. But I really haven't been following it other than maybe once every 6 months. I'll check out a YouTube video and kind of just click through it to see what things are looking like. But I'm not interested in a scripted theme park ride where, and not to be disrespectful, but that's what a lot of their streams have been lately is, okay, we're going to take you to this place, we're going to do this thing, I'm only going to show you X, Y, and Z, don't you dare look behind the curtain, don't you dare ask about things that aren't part of this specific track. And so, like, obviously the bits you're going to show me are polished and ready to show me, fine. But that's not the game. I mean, anyone can throw a couple zones together and be like, this is what we're doing. And so, I don't know. I have a wait and see attitude with it. Braknar, are you here?
Oh,
Do you have any thoughts on Pantheon? Are you excited? Are you following the hype and the streams and the videos, or
I'm 100% with you. Like, yeah, I've been burned many times lately, and just like, I want it to be great, but I don't know.
I mean, I saw a screenshot of what I think gnomes are going to be, and that was super depressing because gnomes should look like creepy little ice cream salesmen and not what they looked like in that video. Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. When it comes out, I will definitely check it out. But I've had my
Like,
heart
I
broken
want to
too many
believe.
times.
Yeah, I want to believe. The cynic in me thinks it's not going to be at all what we hope it'll be.
Yeah, yeah. That's what happens when you get your heart broken over and over and over again. Is this it? No, this is not it. There's a portal there. Where's my goddamn island in the sky? Is this it? Yeah, this is it. This is the GM only island in Plain Sky. It's right above this island. Has a nice view of it. You can see the giant windmill off in the distance. You can see a little birdhouse up there. You can see a bee's butt up there. Got some chains. Not connected really to anything, just kind of hanging. But yeah, this was where staff members hung out on live before CS Home was a thing. And then players started raiding Sky. And so CS Home got made, and staff members stopped hanging out here. Did EQ Next break your heart? The people want to know. No. I never, ever had faith in EQ Next being a thing. I remember their presentation. The best part about the presentation was like the 30-minute sand art video. And I remember listening to all the shit they were talking about and being like, that sounds really cool, but you can't do that. Like, that will never be a thing. At least not in this timeline. Like, maybe in the future, sure. But right now, today, that game's not going to be, that is not going to be the way that works. And then I saw some of the graphics, and it looked like a bad Disney movie. And I had no interest in EQ Next whatsoever. I think EQ Landmark would have been much better if they didn't screw people by leading them on with the whole, like, you can build things and they'll go into this game and give us all your money. I think there's a lot of super creative people out there who would have had a lot of fun just being able to kind of build and do the things they were doing with EQ Landmark without the lies and bullshit and promises of it being an EQ Next tie-in type thing. And I think they should have focused. I wouldn't have played it because I'm not one of those super awesome creative people. But I think a lot of people would have, and I think a lot of really cool designs would have come out of that. I actually had more interest in checking out what people were building on Landmark than I had any interest in EQ Next. Like, EQ Next was just a walking pile of flaming dog shit from day one, as far as I'm concerned. What say you, Braknar? You got any thoughts on EQ Next?
I mean, I had the same feelings of that for that. I guess I didn't look in deeply enough to it, other than I knew that it was still set in, like, I think it was still set in Norath.
Sure, it was.
That's about all I knew of it, and part of me was like, okay, I guess, but then another part was like, hey guys, or I mean, still have the same, sort of world, but like, let's continent that's not actually Norath, that you don't have to like keep tying it in. Like, you can use the same classes, I guess. I don't know. I was hopeful, but again, expected it to just completely fail. And then when it did fail, I was a little disappointed. But
Okay.
I did just scroll up a little, and I saw who is it? Who is it? I'm going to mispronounce his name again. Akinensu.
Akinsenu.
What is Akinsenu? What do you have against random ice comets? They're hilarious.
They weren't hilarious back in item loot on fucking live server.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was a reference to like the Halloween event from a few years ago.
Oh, it might have been. I just know it's a sore spot for me from when I was a little child back in '99 playing on Valenzac. Zone in the lava storm and have a goddamn wizard just nuke my ass.
So I'll try to do another Halloween event this year, but because like if I'm going to do one, now's the time to start. It will take like that amount of time to do.
I mean, realistically, if you don't hit the deadline, just change the NPC to a snow bunny and make it an Easter event.
Yeah, there you go.
Problem solved. All right, I'm gonna answer this, and then Braknar, you know what, Braknar, I'm gonna give it to you first, and I'll answer it after you. Drox99 wants to know what keeps you coming back day after day, year after year, to be a staff member on P99.
For me, it's a rare thing. Even it is definitely like a diamond in the rough. P99 is, because you go out there and start looking. There are a ton of not just EverQuest, but various old game free shards that people have stood up over time, and not any of them don't stand the test of time. Like, P99's been around now. What was it started? 2005?
P99?
Was it that long ago?
No, 09, I believe. 09 or 010.
To do something special next year for the 10-year.
I think
Like,
it was
seriously,
09. I'm pretty positive it was 09.
It's almost, yeah, there you go. So it's almost 10 years old. Shard, like this free server has outlasted most MMOs, like commercial MMOs. So being a part of it, that's why it keeps me back, keeps me coming back. Plainly honest, doing the RMT stuff is actually, I find it somewhat challenging because it's not. If it was easy to find the RMTers, been doing it before I started doing it. Or, well, I mean, there were folks that were doing it, but there was a gap there, and so there tends to that's why there tends to only be a few people that are doing it at a time, because it's there's a lot of stuff to look through. There's a lot of logs. There's a lot of clever things you can do with SQL queries. There's cut it, and I find it somewhat an interesting, game, almost game within a game to play of can you catch the RMT or ha ha ha, twisting mustache mischievously. But other than that, the real core of what brings me back is just being a part of P99 and knowing that like I said, it's a diamond in the rough. It's not something that's common to have a game-free server get so popular. On top of that, it's not that common to have a free server like this get endorsed or at least acknowledged even. I guess we're not really endorsed. We're kind of, we're acknowledged.
We're whitelisted.
Creators. Yes.
You won't get banned for playing here.
Yes, like even that is super rare. In fact, I don't think anybody else has.
Right.
I don't think any other one has had that happen.
Blizzard has definitely not done that.
And then so I'm personally a Dark Age of Camelot fan. I played Dark Age of Camelot for years, and there's been a number of Dark Age of Camelot free servers, and it's unfortunate to watch the one most recently, or not that recently, I guess it's been a bit of a year and a half now, Uthgard, that launched. The server was named Uthgard, and it was it's been like crashing and burning. Like they have 100 active players on at peak now. 100.
That's rough.
We peak at 1,200.
Yeah, no, I mean, EverQuest is different, and it's special, and the devs and the staff are, I mean, as much as everyone pisses people off, and people love to bitch about content changes or CSR decisions, like, we have to be doing something right. Right? Like, we have to be. Or else over 10 years, the population would have dwindled down to nothing. Just to add on to Braknar's answer of all those things, I'm a huge fan of EQ. And I was a huge fan of it back in the day when I played live. I was super excited when I first found the emulator project back in 2007. And I used to play on P99 while I was staffing on a different project. And then that project closed down. And I ended up applying to be a staff member here when I got to the point that I was done being a player. Like, I knew I was done playing. I started only answering bat phones once in a while. Like I stopped answering middle of the night bat phones, and I stopped answering bat phones for things that I don't specifically care about. And then I stopped answering bat phones unless I was literally doing nothing else. And then you just stop caring. And, but I still I enjoy helping people to enjoy a game that brought me a lot of goodness. And so that's part of what I come back for every day, even though I whine and bitch and complain. Like, it feels really good to me when I get to help someone who's having an actual problem go back to being able to continue enjoying a game that I love, and hopefully that they love equally as much. Pig Vomit wants to know how much pussy I get, and the answer to that is none. I'm a 300-pound virgin who just sucks down breakfast burritos and Hot Pockets in my mom's basement. I mean, I've never even been within 4 feet of an actual real-life girl. So I hope that answers your question. What about Project M? I don't know if we can do that with this client that we use, but that would definitely be a Nilbog dev question, and definitely not a Sirken question.
I don't even know what project. Maybe I'll have to look it up. What is
Project M? It's what Snafu actually is asking about as well. It's the thing where above the server select screen you could click like something. I forget what the button was called, but it allowed you to be an NPC, like a low level NPC. And so I could log into my server as like a null pup and like just pretend I was pathing back and forth for a while. And then when a player tries to run up on me, I start jousting him, and he has no idea in the world what is happening. It was a lot of fun. Bad listed 00? No. That's the short answer. Easy DZ wants to know thoughts on EverQuest Reborn, thoughts on a classic server using a newer client. They're not the first ones to do it. I don't mean to sound like condescending, but they're just the new flavor of the month. In 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, that server will probably go the way of every other server that has tried. I wish them the best of luck in the world, but if history has taught me anything, it's that it's in 6 months. I mean, it's a new classic server. People always like that, and people will always flock to that. But just like the TLP servers, and just like every other goddamn server that tries to be classic, they're putting all the things in that make the game super easy. And when a game is too easy and you don't feel challenged and you don't get that real sense of accomplishment when you're like getting things on those type of servers, I'm going to use TLP servers as an example. There's no accomplishment in that. You're just checking boxes. Like, I got this item, check, got that item, check. But you don't, it's not like, yes, thank you, Jesus, I got it. Like, you don't die 100 times before you get that success. And the struggle is what makes the victory part feel so good. And so, yeah, I don't think it will be anything different than any other flavor of the month server trying to be classic over the last 7 years that I've seen. You got thoughts on that, Braknar?
I was gonna say, wasn't that actually like a relaunch of another server? Didn't it have some other name?
I could be wrong on this, but I think one or more of the people doing that server were involved in a different project called the Sleeper server.
Huh.
Alpha, you could bump it. I don't think it matters. IP exemptions are done in batches, though, and you could wait anywhere from 5 minutes to a month. If it's been 2 months, you might want to bump it because maybe it did get lost in the cracks. Definitely don't bump anything flagged for me, though, because I start with the oldest. Chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry milkshakes? I'm a boring schmuck. I like vanilla milkshakes the best out of those three.
That is boring.
I know. I know.
So my answer is in the summertime when you can get fresh strawberries, my answer would be strawberry, but any other time it's chocolate.
Like, I like bananas in my milkshakes. And I like Oreo cookies in my milkshakes. I'm a big fan of bananas in ice cream. Any which way. I like bananas in ice cream. I don't care if it's a milkshake. I don't care if it's just thrown on my ice cream. I don't care if the ice cream is thrown on the banana. I don't give a shit. You mix those things, two things together, we're in business. Has there been any talk of... Oh, real quick, guys. We're going to wrap this up. So if you do have questions, or if you had a question that wasn't answered, now's the best time to ask it again. Do an at Sirken P99 or an at Braknar99. We'll see it. We'll answer it. But we're going to speed round the shit out of those. So get them in. Has there been any talk putting warders back into the game or putting in a way to do a quest or something to get them to respawn? I've talked about this briefly in the past, and the short answer is the only way that's going to happen is through custom content. I don't think it's definitely been mentioned, and as far as I can remember, nobody on staff has ever completely shot down and said that will never happen in terms of ideas for custom content. So until that happens, it's definitely a possibility. but it won't happen outside of custom content. I'm feel fairly comfortable saying that. Maybe not a Sirken kind of question, but do you think P99 could ever be updated to a newer client that's less crashy? Easy. I don't know what you're doing. I don't crash.
Just saying, crashes are classic.
And crashes are classic. I don't know. I hear some people talk about crashing a lot, but I really do not like, unless my internet goes out or Comcast is being stupid or the zone I'm in crashes once in a while. Like, I don't just crash. Like, I'm not one of those people who like, well, I have to zone, which means I'm going to crash. Like, that doesn't happen to me.
Well, and if they're talking about crashing like when you zone, that's not really the client. That's more a network connection problem, which I'm correct in this, in that when you zone, if those are, so for anyone out there that's networkly minded, knows what I'm talking about, you'll understand it. Other people are going to hear letters and not know what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure when you zone, actually, the server is sending you a UDP packet. And so what that means is there are mainly two types of packets on the internet, UDP and TCP. Resend, it actually gets an acknowledgement, so it knows if it received it or not. UDP does not. So that's why you'll like just sit and spin sometimes on a zone. That's because the UDP packet that was supposed to come to you or it was supposed to go to the server never made it. And so it just sits there and spins and then eventually kicks you out. And so if you find yourself crashing on zone a lot, don't be on Wi-Fi, because Wi-Fi can have some packet loss for various reasons, environmental and etc. Or check your regular internet connection and see if you've got high packet loss to the server. I think the server is roughly the same place as the website, so if you can ping and trace route the website, that'll give you an idea of your connection to the server.
A plus, much better than my answer. My answer was like, doesn't happen to me, get fucked.
Guessing on that, like, I do know there's UDP packets involved when you're talking to the login server, which is a lot of why sometimes when you go to pull the login server window up, it's completely black. When that happens, that means that UDP packet got lost. Use UDP instead of TCP in friggin' 1999? I don't know, because even at that point, there's no good. I don't understand the reasoning behind it. The only time I've seen UDP used for like a meaningful purpose was for scientific data transmission. So, like, say you have scientific data, say you have like temperature sensors that are in the world. You don't care if you lose one reading here and there from one. It doesn't matter. But most other traffic on the internet does matter if you lose, and you want it to resend. So I don't understand why they did that, but it is what it is.
Of course, you would start talking while I was getting my goddamn shoe. No,
see, I knew
that's very technical. That's above my pay grade. I liked my answer better. Play better, and it won't happen.
Right.
It's the internet punishing you for being bad. Oh my god, I lost all my peoples. I was following people. Oh, they all camped out. All right, A plus. It's not my problem. It's them. I'm all alone in the sky now. Last question. Do you think it's impossible to be unbanned for being rude to GM petition service because classic rage, or should I start new characters? It was over a year ago. It really depends what you said. Like, if you just... like, sometimes people say shit that really crosses a line. And if you do that, you're probably not getting unbanned. Because there are lines that you don't cross as far as being disrespectful goes. But...
post that's like, fuck you, buddy, I don't like you, that's one thing. If you send that, if we have like 3 pages of you yelling at us and then saying you're going to contact a lawyer,
right,
and then telling us to get fucked and telling us Daybreak is going to come close us down, that kind of thing.
Right. That, I mean, it really depends what you said. If you don't think it was that bad, by all means put in a petition. The worst we'll say is no. and at best we'll look at it and be like, this wasn't even really that bad, and we'll see that you've been banned a year, and maybe we'll give you a second chance on a really short leash. But I don't know. There's lines. You don't cross those lines. And sometimes an apology can go a long way with people. And sometimes you just drop a bomb on the bridge and it can't be rebuilt. But we don't witch hunt people. So worst case, start new characters. Best case, you make a petition. We look at why you got banned and decide it wasn't so bad and that a year is enough time served. On that fine note, what's that?
I was just even some of the guys that have told us things that did like rage for pages. I usually tell them, you're free to make a new character. I'm not gonna come hunt you down, but
Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely some people that I would not be okay with unbanning. Like, anyone who's ever threatened us with legal action, those people can get fucked. I don't feel bad for them, and
I wish one day we could open the forum, like when we close the doors, and open the petitions forum and just let people read some of that stuff. You can tell, like, somebody has spent like the whole week watching Law and Order and preparing themselves to make this post, and like the crap they put in there, you're like, and I know you're completely wrong. It's just, I don't know what goes through those people's heads.
Nothing. That's the problem. Nothing goes through their heads. They're retarded. And you can't fix stupid. I gave up on that a long time ago. I thought you could. I thought with patience and hard work you could fix stupid. But you can't. Stupid is like herpes. It's forever. Tupac says, Braknar, drugs. That's what goes through their head. He's probably not wrong with most of those types of people. You got anything else to add, Sir Braknar?
No. Yeah. Just everybody keep playing, enjoy the server, and don't friggin' RMT. I don't necessarily enjoy banning people. I'd be much happier if there wasn't any at all.
Yeah. I can second that. I would love not to have to ban people or suspend people or punish people and just help with actual problems like my item got eaten or my corpse rotted or can you make a guild for me? Like I was saying earlier, I really like helping people to be able to enjoy the game. I don't like punishing and disciplining people. But on that note, I think we're done here. So, you want to say goodbye to these fine people?
Yeah, take care. Still around and kicking, and let's see if I can get my act together. Maybe I'll throw an event together this Halloween. Stay tuned.
Oh shit! It almost sounded like a threat. I like it.
Ice comets for everybody.
I mean, that's my kind of event.
Is I'll just troll the NPC. Just as soon as you hail him, he ice comets you.
Best event ever. Oh shit! All right, well, Braknar, thank you so much for coming on. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. I'm gonna mute myself and all the things. So boop boop boop. All right, chat. We're alone now. I like being alone with you guys. It makes me feel closer to you. Just wanted to thank all you guys for watching and listening and hanging out and all the things. And what else? What else? And oh, also, if you guys missed any part of the stream or you want to see previous streams that you may have missed, youtube.com/SirkenP99 has all the things. I'm trying to do this one on Monday nights right here on this channel that you're at right now. If you're catching the end of this and you don't know what you're looking at, it's EverQuest. There's only one dude here, so it looks really boring. I promise we have more than one person playing on the server. There they are. www.project1999.com. We have all the things. There's no real money transactions or two boxing, and none of the quality of life changes. It's horrible, hard, grindy, painful, hate yourself EverQuest just like you remember it. Sign up today. It's free and it's free forever. And that's it. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. Oh, hang on. Don't leave yet. A bunch of you are already left, I bet. It's fine, though. I'm going to play a video, but then I'm going to host somebody. So if you want to do me a favor, just hang out for a minute and then go through with the host. And you don't even have to stay. But just go there for a second and say hi or something. Do that for me. Have a good night, guys. Goodbye.